Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Hello to all of our inspired listeners out there around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today here on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim over on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. I'm your co-host, Mark Lanehart, the Intuitive Prospector, broadcasting live from my studio here in Seattle, Washington. And today it will just be myself. I'm kind of doing three things here. I'm actually doing a live Facebook video feed right now, live on the air. So if you want to join in the conversation, just head on over to Mark Lanehart for the live interaction on Facebook via the video. And today, my co-host, who's usually with me every Wisdom Wednesday, Kim Thalken, founder of Love First down in Encino, California, is celebrating her birthday today. So I'd like just to take a moment and give Kim an Inspired Living shout out and say happy birthday, my friend. Hope you are having a wonderful day with family and friends, eating lots of cake, laughing, and celebrating the beautiful soul that you are in this world. Cheers to you. So if you'd like to work with Kim, since she's not on today, but if you'd like to work with her, she does awesome work in psychic sciences, energy, healing, career coaching, hypnotherapy. She does it all. So if you'd like to work with her, please visit her site at lovefirst.info. Again, that's lovefirst.info. Or you can find both of us. If you want to work with us, you can find us over at Best American Psychics, or you can find us over on Bob Olson's Best Psychic Directory. So I see that we do have a couple people that have joined in the live Facebook feed. Giving a shout out to Claire, who has joined. Thanks for joining. It looks like there's 2 or 3 people. I'm still trying to get this live Facebook thing down while I'm live on the air. And if you'd like to work with me, you can head over to my site at marklanehart.com. Hello, Chris. Nice of you to join the conversation on Facebook. But if you want to work with me and you're interested in your own spiritual journey or any kind of spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual goal, whether it's mediumship, psychic sciences, healing, metaphysics, meditation, hiking, please visit me at marklanehart.com. Or you can find me out on the internet. Just do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector. So this month, we have a positive affirmation, and the positive affirmation is, happiness is a choice. I base my happiness on my own accomplishments and the blessings I've been given. And again, I'll say that again, happiness is a choice. I base my own happiness on my own accomplishments and the blessings I've been given. And that is the Inspired Living Positive Affirmation for the month of June. It's hard to believe that we're already halfway through the month of June. Getting more people. I've got 7 people on the Facebook live video feed. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice out there around the world, head on over to Mark Lanehart on Facebook and join in the live video feed. I will be taking questions via the Facebook feed. Hello to Natalia for joining. And if you do miss this live video feed, you can head on over to our Encore platform, which is over at OMTimes Radio Archives, iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, SoundCloud, or marklanehart.com. And if you want to join us on the social media, you can join us at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Google Plus community. Just look for Inspired Living or Inspired for Us. So did the video, but it looks like the video has dropped. And so we're giving it a try, producing the show. And I'm going to bring on our special guest, I'm very honored to have her on the show today. Denise Linn, who is an author, she has her own radio show over on Hay House, does a beautiful job with that. I was listening to it yesterday. And she is a teacher, and she's been called America's best kept secret for the last 3.5 decades as she has traveled to all the corners of the world, speaking to standing room only audience of thousands. Her spiritual journey began as a teenager when she had a near-death experience. We have something in common, Denise, that we'll be talking about on today's show, near-death experiences and the paradigm shift that comes along with that. The revelation she received on the other side and the amazing healing of her wounds led Denise to eventually become an internationally respected healer, writer, and teacher. She's also a world-acclaimed expert in feng shui and space clearing. Before the show, Denise and I were talking that we would kind of just talk about current events too. The events in Orlando that have taken place. You know, we're just sending love and light to everybody that is impacted by this horrible event. And I know Denise has a personal tie to this as well. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll just see where we're kind of led for today's show. But I would like to welcome Denise Linn to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Well, thanks for being on. And, just the background of what you've been teaching and traveling around the world and your own show on Hay House. What a beautiful journey that you've been on. And it all started with the near-death experience. Was that kind of the awakening and the paradigm shift, or the spiritual paradigm shift, as I like to call it?
You know, it did. And before that event, even though I'm Native American on my mother's side, she's Cherokee, but both my parents were scientists, and they were atheists. And they said, if you cannot prove it scientifically, it does not exist. And they were very adamant about that. And, I wanted to be a scientist. In fact, my brothers and sister went on into the sciences. So there's every reason to believe I would have gone into the sciences too. But then I had a little motorbike when I was 17. And I went out one summer afternoon. And what I didn't know is I was being followed by someone. It was someone in a car, someone I didn't know. I'd never done anything to. He wasn't even from the area. And suddenly he sped his car up and he rammed into my motorbike, and I flew off of the motorbike. I skidded across the road, and I was in shock because I hadn't done anything to him. I couldn't understand why he hit me. It was very obvious he hit me on purpose. And as I lay there, I watched his car turn around. He'd gone up the road, and then he came back to turn around. I thought, well, he's coming back to help me. Mm-hmm. But it did. He rolled down the window, and he pulled out a gun. And, Mark, I don't know if you've had, accidents or traumatic experiences where it just seems like everything goes in slow motion.
Yeah, time becomes relevant. Everything slows down. And Denise, just so you know, I'm actually talking on the Facebook live feed too, so we have people joining the conversation. So just want to make sure that everybody can join in on that conversation, hear you live on the radio, but also if you head over to OMTimes Radio, they can actually hear the live interview with you. So thanks to everybody for joining. This is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio with special guest Denise Linn. We're talking about near-death experiences, spiritual paradigm shifts, and time. You're right, Denise. Time completely slows down. I had that same experience with my near-death experience. I've not only had one, but I've had two. But continue, because that's fascinating.
Well, it'll be interesting, maybe at a later date to compare what happened for both of us afterwards. But as he rolled his window down and I was looking at this gun, I just, like I said, it was such slow motion. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly he shot me. And again, it was shocking. Like, this was in a farming community in Ohio. I mean, people just didn't get shot there. And as I was laying there, I heard the door open and then close. And then I heard him walking over close to me. And I heard the sound of the zipper going down. Mm-hmm. And evidently, this man had killed a lot of women. I'm actually the only woman who survived. And I opened my eyes and looked at him, and he was aiming the gun at me, and he was getting ready to shoot me again. And this is the crazy thing. And I still, to this day, don't understand why it happened, but it saved my life. When I looked at him, I wasn't afraid. When I looked at him, I wasn't angry. All I felt in that moment was compassion. And I don't know how you can have compassion from someone who hit you with their car for no reason, then came back and shot you and was going to shoot you again. But I just felt this all-encompassing compassion. And as he looked at me, and I'm just being present with him, his arm started to shake, and the gun started to shake, and he couldn't shoot me. And his arm dropped down, and he turned around and got back in his car and drove away. It was that moment that changed everything. And then I was found on the side of the road. I was taken to the hospital, and the doctors they actually went out in the waiting room and said, "She's dead." They thought I died, but obviously I didn't. But I remember what happened, and you probably do too if you've had those near-death experiences. I remember leaving my body. I remember going to this amazingly beautiful place of incredible light and music, and most of all, love. And I knew I was home. And trust me, I did not want to come back. It was so familiar. Did you have that experience when you had the near death? It's like you felt like, oh, this is my home. Everything else is the illusion. That's not real. This is real. Was that what happened for you?
Yeah, on both occasions, it was two different experiences. One when I was a child and I was walking with the shadow people. I had fallen out of a tree for about 15 feet onto my head. And that was the first near-death experience. And I remember walking with shadow people and feeling very comfortable, not wanting to come back. The second near-death experience for me was quite different in the fact that I was in a river accident. We were floating down the river, and I got trapped underwater. And it got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to get out of this situation. And I just had this overwhelming peace that just settled over me. I didn't see, angels. I didn't see the white light, anything at the end of the tunnel. But I just had a peace that I've never felt before on my journey so far. And I knew that that was the start of my transitioning over. And as soon as I surrendered to that and accepted the peace, I popped up. And there was no way that I should have. I was pinned in a whole bunch of logs, and the river was pushing against me. So to this day, they obviously wanted me to be here, to be on the radio and, do this work and talk about, spirituality and all the healing that we're trying to do in the world. So as you can hear, Denise, that is the sound of our first commercial break coming up with whistling. But when we come back, let's talk about what's going on in Orlando. So stick around. We'll be back in 2 minutes. This is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. You're on OMTimes Radio.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's lovefirst.info for more information. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And Welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. We have our special guest today, Denise Linn, author, radio show host, teacher, and just doing all sorts of wonderful work out there. Denise, before we went to the break, we were talking about NDEs, near-death experiences, and just, the paradigm shift that takes place when we go through something like that, or the awakening. What was some of the first work that you started doing after that? What was your calling?
Well, when I came back, my body was really damaged. I lost a kidney, a spleen, adrenal gland, good part of left lung, part of my intestines. There's still a hole about the size of my little finger through my spine. I was told I would never have children. A 6-inch tube replaced the aorta. So there was a lot of damage, and the doctor said, she's not going to live, or if she is, she'll be incapacitated. So I began to sense and see energy fields that other people, I didn't know they were energy. I just saw colors and lights and heard sounds other people didn't hear. So my first passion, however, had to do with healing. And my body healed really quickly, and no one could believe it, but I believe that something happened on the other side that ignited that healing, and it had to do with the understanding of energy and tapping into the energy, and it also had to do with love and that compassion I'd felt in that moment. And that's something I want to talk about in terms of Orlando. Mm-hmm. And so from that point, I began to train and study. I've spent time with the Zulu in Africa. I've been adopted into a Maori tribe. My name is Fetu Manama Otarengi. My first teacher was a Hawaiian kahuna. I've spent time in the outback with the Aborigines, with a shaman in Brazil. So I began to, a Laplander in Finland.
Could you say that name one more time again?
It's Fetu Manama Otarengi. But in native cultures, they give you a name. Uh-huh. And it's somehow, there's something with the energy of the name. So to the Zulus, I'm Nogukini. And to the Hawaiians, Shigdemi Mele Onuhunalani. So they give you a name, and the name has a vibration. One of the things I highly suggest, if someone does not know their spiritual name, go out in nature, call for your name, find your name, because your name is your essence, and simply saying your name can help tap you into that deeper connection. But that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other show.
So right? That's another show, finding your name. It's important and valuable. But so eventually I went to, I've written 18 books. They've been translated in 29 languages. I began to share the things that I was learning from the cultures I was spending time in. And I don't know. I still don't think I'm a particularly good writer, but the first book, people really liked it. It was a bestseller. And so I thought, well, even though I'm not particularly a good writer, I'm dyslexic, so writing's really hard. So that was a publisher came to me and asked me to write. So I wrote that first book, and then another publisher said, will you write another book? So I did. I kept thinking, I'm not very good at this, but people keep reading it. So I just kept writing. And so and I'm one of the few people in the world that successfully regresses up to 3,000 people at once in past life regression, something else I'm passionate about. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's where I am now. And I'm so glad you want to talk about Orlando, because it is so much, very much in my heart. What was your first feeling or thought when you heard about it?
It's happening again. We have another, shooting. We have another horrible situation. So it's just, and I don't want to get used to it, right? It's just, it's something that's tragic, right, but it's always in the news. And I think even just yesterday, there was another event down in Texas where somebody went on a shooting spree in a Walmart. And so, it's almost like we're just seeing it daily now. And I'm just always so sad when I see, because, as an empath, I feel that vibration. I feel that energy, that is the collective energy of all of us, and it ripples through. But at the same time, yep, it's events like this that, the big changes take place right before, it precedes the chaos. And to see the world come together and unify, that we're not standing up for this anymore. So it's the positive side of seeing us come together and unify and stand up against this kind of violence and senseless activity. But at the same time, it's sad because we just see it so much in this day and age. And when I saw this, I was just heartbroken that these young kids that are just starting out in life were impacted by such, by one person in such a horrible event. And then talking before the show to learn that you're, you have ties to this as well. So I wanted you just to talk a little bit about that, what you felt, the emotions, the text that was going on between, the mother and her son, right, and just, talk about that, because that's really in your backyard, really.
Well, it's not really my backyard because I live in Northern California, but
but for your family.
My husband, yeah, my stepsister and not stepsister, my sister-in-law, and brother-in-law and my nephew all live just a couple blocks from this event, and they were touched on so many levels, and being very, very close family members, it touched us as well. First of all, they were my sister-in-law is in the theater community in Orlando, and so this was evidently a bar where a lot of people in the theater community went. So they didn't know for a long time whether any of their friends were there, and the street is actually still closed off. Their street's still closed off. She just sent some pictures this morning. But in a deeper sense, their son, who is now, he's a senior in high school, and just fairly recently he came out, and he really said, you know what, this is who I am. I am gay, and I'm willing to share it. And luckily his family and all of us have been so supportive. But this is walking distance from his school, this bar. And so it's one thing to feel so safe among your friends and family to make a stand of this is who I am, this is what I believe. But then to see in your own neighborhood that people can be killed for their sexual preferences or for their life choices so errantly, really it really brings it home. And the great thing is he took time to just say, all right, where am I with this? And he said, you know what? I'm not going to back down. This is who I am. This is what I believe. And I am going to take a stand for, and I love that. And, I posted on Facebook about my family, and then I heard from people, my Facebook community. One woman said her next door neighbor was, he was there and he left right before it happened. And she said she had another really close friend who was going, or all of his friends invited him, and his phone was off or his battery was down, so he didn't get the messages to go, and all of his friends died. So the friends that had invited him to go there would have died. But what really touched me, and this is why I'm thinking about that moment of compassion with the guy who shot me, is when there are so many cases where people have their phones and they're calling, and they're calling to say, tell mom I love her. I'm dying. I'm probably going to be killed. I'm probably going to die. I love you, brother. I love you, mom. And to me, the reason why that's so heart-wrenching is that the essence, the thing that is most important to us, isn't how much we have and how much we do and what awards we win. And in essence, it's relationships and it's love. Mm-hmm. We don't think to say, hey, it's the only thing that we think in those moments before death is love. And that's what's important. And it's so easy to feel angry. It's so easy. And, even the people would take a stand. But what happens is, I'm assuming everyone who knows this on the radio, because you have such wonderful listeners, is the more we get angry, and it's a discipline not to, because who doesn't want to get angry at something so senseless? Sure. But the more angry we get, the more we generate more of these kind of situations, and it is an act of power to be able to feel compassion for the man who had so much hatred in his heart that he would do this. That's hard. It's easy to get mad. It's easy. You don't want to tear somebody apart, and that's our natural reaction. But to take a step back and feel compassion, that's what changes the world. Mm-hmm. And I do have some suggestions for people, too, because some people feel like they feel so helpless, like, what can I do? And I'm going to suggest that people dedicate their night hours to night healing, and to actually, as they go to bed, to visualize or imagine a shield around them. And on my Facebook page, I actually just did a video on this. And then say, Creator, Great Spirit, or whoever the spiritual source is, tonight I dedicate my hours to night healing. And literally, you can, in the night, send healing. So send healing to the people in Orlando. Send healing to family members, because I was amazed just in my Facebook group how many people were absolutely personally affected by this event. And there were so many. And in other Facebook groups I'm in as well. So it's like the ripple effect. So just go to bed tonight. I offer myself in service. And you might be taken to that to Orlando, and you might be taken somewhere else where you're needed. Mm-hmm. But you can do that in the night hours. And it's something you can do, and I think it's important to be able to do something. What can I do? How can I help? So that's one thing I suggest.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I will definitely give that a try because, I've always been fascinating with, and we will get into a little bit about dreams maybe here in the second half of the show, but your mind is more active asleep than it is awake in everything that we're doing. And so, connecting into that collective consciousness, setting the intent of doing this night healing that you're talking about, because energy always follows our intent. I think that's brilliant. And if we can do that at such a global scale, Orlando is definitely one place that needs a lot of love and a lot of light and a lot of healing in the days to come. How long before you forgave the gentleman that actually shot you, Denise, before you were able to actually move forward?
Well, what was remarkable is it was actually fairly easy to forgive him. And I do, like I mentioned, I do past life work. Mm-hmm. And what really shifted it around, and as I mentioned, he murdered a number of women. I'm the only person who actually survived. Okay. He was one of those guys that goes around murdering women and doing horrible things to them. But I took myself on a past life regression, and I saw another life where I was less than kind to him. And when I looked at that life, I absolutely understood the dynamics at place. And in that moment, it's like to understand something is to heal it. Mm-hmm. And I understood. Didn't mean I wanted to hang out with him. Didn't mean I ever wanted to see him again.
Right.
But you know what they say about resentment is like swallowing poison and hope the other person dies. We don't forgive for that person. We forgive for ourselves, so we don't continue to victimize ourselves. And that healed it for me. I had a lot harder time with my mother and my father, and those things take longer. But it wasn't that hard for him.
Yeah.
Well,
it's important to forgive, and that's something that we'll when we pick back up from the break. I always say that life is short. Feel to heal and forgive to move forward on your journey. So we're going to take a 2-minute break here. We have special guest Denise Linn, and this is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Special guest, author, radio show host, teacher, Denise Linn. Denise, before we went to the break, we were talking about forgiveness. And the reason I asked you how long it took to forgive the person that shot you, we've all had our traumas and dramas in life. And I have found with my own journey, I had my younger brother that was shot and murdered. And that took a long time. I held on for many years without forgiveness. And I found that when we don't forgive, we don't move forward. And I think that's important to, you're right, we don't have to go have a cup of coffee with them. You don't have to. But just, in your heart, finding that forgiveness, it just helps your energy and your soul adventure, your spiritual journey to move forward and to actually have more compassion for the people that, are doing these acts of terror and not settle into the anger that we see a lot of in today's society.
Do you know what really helped me was realizing, because I thought I had to forgive the act, and I don't forgive child abuse. I don't forgive human trafficking. I don't forgive cruelty. I will never forgive those acts. But I realized that I didn't have to forgive the act.
Right.
I could forgive the human being, and understanding if I'd had those parents, that upbringing, that astrological configuration, there, but for the love of God go I. That really helped me. And the other thing that helped me is realizing that you're only ready to forgive when you're ready to forgive. And sometimes people will beat themselves up for not forgiving.
Right,
and so I think a really good first step is to forgive yourself for not forgiving. To just accept yourself in this moment. I don't forgive. I'm in a process. I'm in a journey, but it's a double bummer if you don't forgive, and then you don't forgive yourself for not forgiving because you're so new age. I should forgive, but you don't forgive until you're ready, and to just allow yourself that time, because sometimes it is a process. It's not something you just write it down on a piece of paper, burn the paper, and then you're done with it. Sometimes it takes time.
Yeah, it takes and everybody is different, and every feeling that we have or, experience in life, it just teaches us not about ourselves, but we have, ability and opportunities to heal on that much deeper level. But, how much time, I remember when, both of my brothers had passed. One was murdered on Sunday, and then 3 days later, my older brother was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And I just remember people, and I look back at it now, but that's actually part of my journey to why I'm here on the radio, writing for OMTimes and doing the, spiritual work here in Seattle, is because of these experiences. But I had to really learn a lot about myself. But people would say, oh, time heals. And, time heals, but it's different for everybody. And,
yep.
You just have to acknowledge that, and I always say, it's very important to feel to heal, to feel the experience.
Yep.
Don't analyze it. Don't look at it from a negative experience or, try to justify, but just to feel it. I'm not saying it's easy, but feeling, in a lot of 12-step programs, if you look at every 12-step program out there, they talk about you need to, feel to heal. But I think there's a lot of truth in that, and, forgiveness in order so you can move forward, but not forgetting. It didn't say you have to forget, but just forgiving. And so it took me a long time to forgive my brother's shooters. But we've, long story short, we've had to sit down with them and got to see from their perspective of what was going on in their life. And a lot of it was anger and being lost.
How amazing. You've actually sat down and communicated with the people that shot your brother.
Yes. And not saying it was an easy situation, but it is, just understanding why they did it, and again, forgiving them for what they did, but again, not forgetting. And, it's part of our journey, and life does teach us more about ourselves and how we can rise up and re-heal on that much deeper level to do this type of work that you and I are both doing, with people around the world. So real quick, Denise, I want to make sure, because we have listeners, I did have the live Facebook feed going. If you are joining in the conversation, you can head over to Inspired Living Radio over on our Facebook if you want to post a question for Denise or myself. And real quick, Denise, for our inspired listeners out there, how can they find you? How can they work with you? Where, your books, you said you wrote 18 books and you're dyslexic. Congratulations on being able to do that. I think that's an inspiring story within itself, because I know there's a lot of writers out there saying, I'm dyslexic, I can't write this book. Take it from Denise. She's written 18, and you said translated in how many different languages?
29 languages. So
good,
it's
good for you.
Amazing.
That is awesome, and that's just that's work being supported by the universe, work being supported by spirit. So where can folks find you, Denise?
There's several places. One is I have a website. It's DeniseLinn.com. Also, my Facebook site, which is also Denise Linn, author, but and I try to read every single post, and it's pretty much me answering. So if it says Denise answering, it's me. So that's a really good place, and that's where my daughter even connects with me. So it's a public page, but it's also where my friends and family connect with me, because I feel like those are my peeps. And then I have a radio show on Hay House Radio every Tuesday. So and it's archived as well. So those are the best ways to stay in touch with me. And you asked what's coming up. I am going to be professionally or certifying professional coaches, and I'm going to do it with dreams. It's called Gateway Dream Retreat. So I teach people all about dreams and how they can be a coach, and they get certified as a professional coach, but using dreams as a facility, because dreams can allow you to go so much deeper, so much to such a profound level with your client, and also how to teach. And so there's a whole series of classes that you'll learn how to teach. And I love, love, love working with dreams, because I think you can move faster. You can get inspiration. Einstein said every major discovery he made came from a dream. So how to program your dream. And we're also going to be doing astral travel. So at nighttime, we'll be learning. This is going to be in Santa Fe in August. So we'll be learning during the daytime, but at nighttime, we'll be meeting up astrally too. So, and doing lots of deep inner clearing and any blockages or barriers. We do past life regressions as well. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be an intimate group. So that's also on my website. And thank you for asking.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. It's, it takes a village to do this work, and we're always here on Inspired Living wanting to promote, folks like yourself that are out there doing beautiful work, healing, helping, serving spirit. And were you at the You Can Do It conference here in Seattle by chance?
Yes, I was.
I'm sorry that I missed you. So I did go to that. I loved the conference, and we had Barbara DeAngelis on back in April, and so I actually went and sat in her conference. So next time you come to Seattle, I would love to sync up with you and sit through one of. Were you talking about dreams at the You Can Do It conference, or?
I was doing past life regressions.
Past life regression. Okay.
It was a great energy. I lived in Seattle for 20 years, so it was such a great group of people, and it was so wonderful to meet up with old friends and meet new friends. So it was a phenomenal experience, and I was so happy to have been there.
Well, I'm sorry that I missed you. I'll catch you next time. So that was a great conference. As far as we were talking about dreams, I find dreams just to be fascinating. A lot of the work that I do as a medium, believe it or not, when I have a client coming in for a session, the dreams the night before a lot of times tie into that reading with the client I have the next day. And whether it's spirit or messages, not so much like what Edgar Cayce was as far as the sleep prophet, but it's just interesting how my dreams actually sync up and align to my readings the next day. So I've always been fascinated with dreams, and I would love to learn more about your class certifications at a different time if I could.
It would be a joy. I've had an online certification course through Hay House, who's a publisher and does events. Mm-hmm. But this is the first time I've done it live, and I'm really excited because there's some things you can do energetically with a live small group than you can online. Although the online course is great, and I love mentoring and being a part of the online group and with those people. But I'm also really excited about doing it live, especially the dream sharing, because learning how to dream share, how you can enter into someone's dream, they can enter into your dreams, how you can astral travel, lucid dreams, how you can have prophetic dreams, past life dreams, programming your dreams for decision making, understanding those deeper forces at play in your life, how to talk to those who have passed on in your dreams, how to connect with your angels and guides in your dreams. So there's so much you can do that it's a little bit more difficult in the waking hours. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, it's just another example of what you're talking about earlier in the show about the night healing that that collective consciousness that we seem to tap into, and the brain is firing so much more at night when we're sleeping than when we're awake. Yeah. So there's something to it. And, I think at the beginning of the show you were talking, was it your parents saying if it's not proven by science, then it doesn't exist kind of thing? Was it your parents? Yeah. Yep. And, there's a lot of things that, what I like to say are pseudoscience. You can't prove them, but you can't disprove them either, based on a feeling, based on an experience, based on a memory. And, dreams, I just find fascinating. It's all energy, it's all frequency, it's all vibration at the end of the day.
Yeah, I look in terms of results. And if it produces results in someone's life, results being better health, better relationships, more abundance, more deep inner satisfaction, more confidence, to me, those are palpable results. And if at the end of my life someone says there never was past lives, honestly, I don't care, because I've seen over and over again the results that regression does. I've seen over and over again the results that people can get through their dreams. Did you know you can overcome fears and phobias through your dreams? Because there's a part of the brain that does not understand that it's not real. So if you can see yourself, for example, being a public speaker, if that's something you're terrified of, or see yourself standing at a great height, if that's something you're terrified, in your dreams, that's been shown to translate to waking life. So those are palpable results. So maybe maybe dreams are just dreams, but it doesn't matter if your life gets better. That's kind of my take on it.
No, I think that's I'm right in line with you. I think results is very, very important. Society likes to call them synchronicities or coincidences, but when you're providing evidence and results, and fear is, we're the only species on Earth that creates our own fear. So there's a little bit something to that. But as you can hear, Denise, we're at the last break here. We're going to be back in 2 minutes with special guest Denise Linn here on Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Back in 2 minutes. Thanks for listening, everybody.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Again, thank you so much for just taking, if you're having a lunch, if you're sitting down to dinner, or you're just wanting to be on the path of being inspired, just thank you so much for being one of our inspired listeners and joining the Inspired Living community. I did a Facebook live video just right before the show and got a lot of interaction, so we're going to try to do more of that to get people engaged with the show, ask questions. Denise, we do have a question that did come in. I want to see if I can kind of pick your brain on, we've been talking everything from near-death experience, past life regression, dreams. Gosh, what else have we been talking about? We're just having all sorts of fun, and the hour is just cruising by. But the energy clearing, space clearing that you also do on your website, you talk about space clearing at DeniseLinn.com. And the question that has come up is from one of our inspired listeners, Jessica. Her friend's mom had passed away, and she'd been caring for her in the home for the last year of her life. And she wanted to know what she could do to maybe move that energy out of the space, what she could do to not have so much of those memories of taking care of her mom in that space. And I was just kind of, curious what you thought about that.
Well, you can, I'm going to give you the ultimate thing to do, and then you can even do just a little bit of any one of these things, and you can still make a big difference. It's, first of all, Jessica, my heart goes out to you because it's an arduous journey to be nursing someone or taking care of someone near the end of their days. It's exhausting. It's a loving thing to do. So my heart goes out to you for this journey that you've taken. And it is time. It's time to just start a fresh new cycle. The first thing I'd suggest is clutter clearing, especially in the room where most of the caring was taking place. If you do not use it or love it, it's probably clutter. And sometimes it's clutter in one place and not clutter in the other place. But do a really good clutter clearing. Number two, do an actual physical clearing and clearing with intention. Get soap and water, and like if you do the windows, that more light comes into my heart, the more light comes into my life. That if you're washing the floors, my foundations are strong and clear. So do it with intention and really give it a really good cleaning. And if you just clean it, that's good. But if you clean with intention, then you can begin to feel the difference. And then the third step is what I coined the word space clearing a jillion years ago, and now it's in common usage. It's actually space clearing. I've been on the Oprah show a few times, and space clearing was what I was on the Oprah show for. So it's in some arenas, that's what I'm most known for. And basically, in every native culture I spent time in, I learned different techniques because all ancient cultures and native cultures utilize space clearing. And space clearing is shifting the energy. So, Jessica, I suggest you stand at the entrance to the room. And if you do the whole house, stand at the front door entrance. And you don't need to buy anything. You can just clap your hands, or if you have a bell or a drum or some sage, those are great too. But if you have nothing, simply using your body, your prayers, and your love. So you stand at the entrance, hold the intent, call spirit that this space is filled with incredible, vibrant, sparkling, shimmering light. This is a time of new beginnings, a time of endings and beginnings, or whatever words feel authentic and real. It's not so much that the words sound flowery, but they come from your heart, from your soul. And then begin walking in a clockwise manner. Now, every once in a while there'll be a space that calls counterclockwise, and especially in the southern hemisphere, but you walk around the periphery of the room. If you have a bell, you ring around the periphery of the room. You do not need to do the center. If you had a great big cauldron and you begin to stir around the outside, with a big wooden spoon, the inside begins to move on its own. So as you go around the outside, the energy within the center begins to spiral. It's no longer stagnant when it's moving. It's like a stream. A stream is stagnant when it stops moving. As soon as it moves, it begins to be re-energized. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Then when you get all the way to where you started at the entrance, you take that. If you're clapping, you can clap instead of belling or drumming. But you take your hands and you move them in a figure 8, and this seals the room. If you're working with the sage, you take your bowl of sage and you make it a figure 8. Or if you're using a feather, and I love using feathers for space clearing.
Yeah, I use feathers as well.
And I can feel energy more intimately with a feather than I can with my fingers. So you can use the feather to assess energy, to kind of sense where you go to that area and your arm feels heavy and the feather seems to kind of flop. That's probably an area where you need to do it. But you take that feather and make a feather the infinity symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
As a way of sealing the room. This room is sealed. And you'll notice, and if you really want to take it up to its height, so you've clutter cleared, you've cleaned, space cleared, is before and after the space clearing, cleanse your own personal energy. Cleanse your energy before, and then afterwards, take a shower, take a saltwater bath. Make sure that you wash the top of your head. Shake, 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 shake yourself. Do a cold water rinse. And that way you have done start to finish, and you are then ready for a brand new cycle. So in a nutshell, and I have a certification course in space clearing, and I have lots of people that certified people that I've trained in space clearing. So it's a passion of mine because it makes a difference.
It sure does.
Let me give you a quick space clearing story. Okay. So the largest realtor in Manhattan is the Cochran Group, or Corcoran Cochran Group. But it's Barbara Cochran. She's on Shark Tank. But anyway,
I love Barbara.
They had this building. It was a high-end building in Manhattan. It was not selling. So she heard about space clearing. She thought, you know what? It's weird, but I'm going to try it. So she got a space clearer and space cleared the whole building. Just almost instantly, it sold. And she was interviewed for the New York Times. And she said, I think it's weird. I don't understand it, but hey, it worked. So I thought that was give some credibility to this ancient art form. So, Jessica, you have my blessings. You have my love for this new beginning in your life.
Beautiful. And thanks, Jessica, for the question. I did not know that you had actually coined space clearing. I did a... That is awesome. That's what I love doing this work. I had no idea. I know that you had been on Oprah, but I didn't know it was actually for the space clearing and actually coining that. So I will share with you. I did a house clearing on Sunday for some friends, and I too work with the sage, the feather. I love the whole Native American approach to moving energy. But if you would have told me 3 days later that I would be interviewing the person that actually coined space clearing, I wouldn't have connected the dots. So that is fantastic. So as we're getting into the last part of the show here, Denise, one more time for the inspired listeners that are tuning into today's show, where can they buy your books? Where can they visit you? Where can they sign up for a space clearing certification, a Gateway Dream certification?
Probably the best, and thank you again for asking, probably the best research is my website. There's a link on my website to the people that I have trained. If they want a space clearer to come into their house, if they want space clearing certification, I have through Hay House. I have online certification courses in space clearing. It's a particular kind called Essential Space Clearing. And it's great. I think there's like 39 videos. It's a really good course. I was hesitant about doing online courses, but the results that people have been getting has been amazing. And the Gateway Dreaming course, well, there is a link on my website, and I love it if there was one of your listeners was there or a couple were there, because it's going to be, I keep hearing the word miracles. So when I hear that, and I've taught for 47 years now, and it's very rare that I hear that, but I listen to that voice. The voice of miracles. Miracles are going to occur for people there. So I'm really looking forward to that time in Santa Fe.
Yes, and if you do sign up for one of Denise's course, let her know that you're an inspired listener and that you heard her over on Inspired Living, and take the courses that she's offering. She also has a great radio show over on Hay House Radio. Is it every week on Tuesdays? Because I was listening to it yesterday. So Tuesday at what time?
It's 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock Pacific. And I've had that show for, I don't know, pushing 12 years. And when Hay House approached me about doing the internet radio, I thought, nobody is going to listen to the radio on their internet. But I said yes, they were my publisher, but thinking, well, no one's going to listen. And it's amazing. We get millions, literally millions of listeners. And we get phone calls from all over the world. And I'm just like, really? Life has changed a lot, as you know, in the last few years.
Yes, I was going to say, we've been doing Inspired Living. We're approaching our 50th show, almost a year now. So I do know this feeling. When I was thinking about, joining in on this show, I was like, well, who really listens to internet radio? But it has been just an awesome ride, an awesome journey. And like you said, you get to connect with people all around the world, helping, serving, healing. And, Denise, thank you so much for being our special guest today, talking all about, near-death experiences, energy clearing, space clearing, coining that. I'm still just cracking up that you actually coined that, and I had no idea.
Wait, I coined it. I thought I don't know what to call it. And I thought people would think you're up in space with a broom, and I thought, but I couldn't think of any other word. And I thought, they're going to think you're up in the stars with a broom. They're going to laugh at it, but I couldn't come up with another word. And then that was the word that kind of caught on.
It was meant to be. So, But thank you so much. And again, visit Denise online at her website, DeniseLinn.com. Check her out on Hay House Radio every Tuesday. And we'll be back next week with our special guest, Jane Del Perro, talking about Love Light Illuminator. So until then, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.